Once, the Bedford TK was everywhere across Britain, on construction sites, in delivery fleets, and even military convoys. It wasn't a machine people admired, it was one they simply depended on. You heard it before you saw it, the steady diesel rumble, followed by the sharp hiss of air brakes echoing through streets and industrial yards. From the 1960s to the 1980s, it carried the weight of a rebuilding nation, quietly keeping Britain moving. But today, it has almost vanished from working roads. You might see one at a museum or classic show. So how did it disappear so completely? The story of the Bedford TK begins in 1960, during a time when Britain was still rebuilding itself from the effects of war. Factories were expanding, cities were growing, and the demand for dependable transport was rising faster than ever before. Roads needed constant supply, construction was booming, and the country required a new generation of work vehicles that could handle heavy daily punishment without breaking down. Bedford, the British commercial arm of General Motors, saw this need clearly. Their existing trucks were no longer enough for the modernizing nation. The Bedford S-Type had served its time, but the world was changing, and a stronger, simpler replacement was needed. The result was the Bedford TK. From the very beginning, it was designed with one guiding principle: reliability above everything else. Engineers focused on durability, easy maintenance, and mechanical simplicity. The goal was not to create a luxury vehicle or a high-speed machine, but something that could survive years of hard labor in all conditions. At first glance, the TK looked plain and functional. A boxy cab, flat front, and no unnecessary styling. But this simplicity was intentional. It allowed the truck to be adapted for almost any role required by British industry. Flatbeds, tippers, fire engines, recovery trucks, and military transport versions were all built on the same basic platform. This versatility made it incredibly valuable to fleets across the country. Most importantly, the TK arrived at exactly the right moment. Britain needed a machine that was affordable, easy to repair, and strong enough to handle the demands of a rapidly rebuilding economy. The Bedford TK fit that need perfectly. Within a short time, it moved from a new replacement model to a familiar presence on British roads, quietly beginning its rise toward becoming one of the most important workhorses in the nation's industrial history. The Bedford TK's true impact came from the way it was engineered. At a time when many commercial vehicles still relied on outdated layouts, Bedford chose to rethink the entire driving experience from the ground up. One of the most important changes was the cab-forward philosophy. Instead of placing the driver directly above or tightly around the engine, engineers positioned the engine further back behind the front axle. This small shift created a major improvement in comfort, balance, and usability. For drivers, the difference was immediate. Entry and exit became far easier, which was essential for delivery work involving constant stops throughout the day. Instead of climbing awkwardly into a high, cramped cab, drivers could step in and out quickly and safely. Visibility also improved significantly. With no long bonnet extending in front, the driver had a clearer view of the road ahead. In crowded British towns and narrow industrial streets, this made a real difference in safety and control. Maintenance was another area where the TK stood out. Side access panels allowed mechanics to reach essential engine components without dismantling large sections of the vehicle. This reduced repair time and kept vehicles on the road longer, which was critical for commercial fleets where every hour of downtime meant lost income. The engines themselves followed the same philosophy. Whether petrol or diesel, they were built for endurance rather than performance. They were not designed to be fast or refined, but to run reliably under constant pressure, often in difficult conditions and with minimal maintenance. Inside the cab, the experience was simple and functional. There was no luxury, no excess, and no distraction. Everything was designed to support the job, not comfort. This engineering approach defined the Bedford TK. It was not about innovation for appearance's sake. It was about solving real-world problems in the most practical way possible. In doing so, the TK set a standard for commercial vehicle design in Britain, one built on simplicity, durability, and trust in mechanical honesty. By the mid-1960s, the Bedford TK was no longer just a new model on the market, it had become a national workhorse. Across Britain, its presence was constant, almost invisible in its familiarity. It blended into the background of everyday life, yet it was essential to almost everything that kept the country moving. Local councils were among its biggest users. Street maintenance, refuse collection, road repairs, and public works all depended on fleets of TKs operating daily. In towns and cities, the sound of a TK engine became part of the routine of life, just like factory sirens or morning trains. Construction companies also relied heavily on it. Britain was expanding rapidly during this period, with new housing estates, motorways, and industrial zones emerging across the country. The TK carried sand, gravel, steel, and cement, materials that physically shaped modern Britain. On building sites, it was common to see rows of TK tippers moving in constant cycles, forming a rhythm of construction that defined the era. The British military also recognized its value. In service roles, the TK proved itself dependable, capable of carrying supplies, equipment, and personnel under demanding conditions. Its mechanical simplicity meant it could be maintained even in difficult environments. Beyond Britain, the TK was rapidly becoming a global success. It was exported to Africa, the Middle East, Asia, and other developing regions where road infrastructure was often poor and repair facilities limited. In these environments, the TK's simplicity was its greatest advantage. If something went wrong, it could often be fixed with basic tools and local knowledge. As exports grew, Bedford's reputation strengthened internationally. The TK was seen not just as a British truck, but as a practical solution for countries building their own infrastructure. What made this rise so remarkable was its quiet nature. The TK did not rely on marketing campaigns or luxury appeal. It spread through trust, fleet operators recommending it, drivers relying on it, and mechanics respecting it. By the end of the 1960s, the Bedford TK had become more than a vehicle. It had become part of the infrastructure of modern Britain, quietly powering the systems that kept the nation functioning every single day. By the late 1960s and into the 1970s, the Bedford TK had entered its golden era. At this point, it was no longer just a successful British truck, it was a defining presence across entire industries. On almost every major road, in every industrial zone, and across countless construction sites, the TK could be seen working without pause. It had become part of the visual identity of a nation in motion. Local councils depended on it for essential services. Refuse collection, road maintenance, and public works all ran on fleets of TKs. In many towns, the early morning sound of a TK engine starting up marked the beginning of the working day. It was as familiar as factory whistles or the arrival of mail. Construction remained one of its most important roles. Britain's infrastructure was expanding at a rapid pace, and the TK was at the center of it. Loaded with concrete, steel, and aggregates, it moved the materials that physically built modern Britain's roads, housing estates, and industrial estates. Entire fleets worked in coordinated cycles, keeping construction moving without interruption. Emergency services also relied on the TK in various forms. Fire service conversions and specialist utility versions showed just how adaptable the platform had become. It was a machine that could be reshaped to meet almost any requirement. The Bedford TK succeeded because it followed a philosophy that was becoming rare even in its own time: absolute simplicity. It was built for one purpose: hard work, and every design decision reflected that goal. At its core was a heavy-duty ladder frame chassis. This structure gave the TK exceptional strength and durability under constant load. It could twist, flex, and absorb punishment on rough roads without falling apart, making it ideal for construction sites, rural routes, and industrial use. The engines were equally straightforward. Petrol and diesel variants were offered, but both were designed for reliability rather than refinement. They were not quiet or powerful by modern standards, but they were easy to maintain and could keep running even under poor conditions. For fleet operators, this meant fewer breakdowns and simpler repairs. Accessibility was another major advantage. The cab design and engine layout allowed mechanics to reach key components quickly. This reduced service time and kept vehicles on the road longer, which was critical in industries where downtime directly affected profit and productivity. Inside the cab, everything was stripped down to essentials. No luxury features, no unnecessary complexity, just a functional working environment designed to support long hours of use. Perhaps the most important factor was adaptability. The TK could be transformed into almost any type of commercial vehicle, from tippers and tankers to fire engines and recovery trucks. This flexibility allowed it to serve multiple industries without needing entirely new designs. In essence, the Bedford TK worked so well because it never tried to be anything other than a tool. It was honest engineering, built strong, kept simple, and designed to be repaired anywhere in the world. By the 1970s, the world around the Bedford TK was beginning to change, even if the truck itself was not. For more than a decade, it had dominated British roads with little serious competition. But now, a new generation of commercial vehicles was emerging across Europe, and the gap between old and new was starting to widen. Manufacturers such as Volvo, Scania, and Mercedes-Benz were redefining what a truck could be. They were no longer building machines only for short-distance work or local deliveries. Instead, they focused on long-haul transport across expanding motorway networks. These new trucks offered more powerful engines, improved fuel efficiency, and far greater comfort for drivers spending long hours on the road. Compared to this new generation, the Bedford TK began to feel outdated. Its cab was basic, its ride was harsh, and its design remained rooted in the early 1960s. What had once been seen as practical simplicity now appeared increasingly old-fashioned. At the same time, global logistics was changing. Transport companies were moving toward heavier loads, longer distances, and faster turnaround times. The TK was still excellent for local work, but it struggled to compete in this new long-distance environment. Inside Bedford, under General Motors, priorities were also shifting. Investment in heavy truck development began to slow. Instead of fully modernizing the TK or replacing it with a new platform, only minor updates were introduced over time. The focus was increasingly directed toward other divisions and global strategies. As a result, British operators started to make difficult decisions. Loyalty to Bedford remained strong, but business realities were stronger. Companies gradually began replacing TK fleets with newer European models that offered better performance and lower operating costs. This shift did not happen overnight. It was slow and quiet. But year by year, the TK's dominance began to weaken. The once unquestioned king of British roads was slowly being pushed into the background of a rapidly modernizing industry. The Bedford TK did not disappear because it was weak or unreliable. In fact, its strength was part of the problem. It was built so well for its original purpose that adapting it to a new era became increasingly difficult. By the 1980s, the transport industry had fundamentally changed. Fuel efficiency was no longer optional, it was essential. Operating costs mattered more than ever, and companies demanded vehicles that could travel farther using less fuel. The TK's older engines, while dependable, could not match the efficiency of newer turbocharged designs coming from Europe and Japan. Driver comfort also became a major factor. Long-haul logistics was now the backbone of freight movement, and drivers were spending more hours on the road than ever before. New trucks offered improved seating, better suspension, reduced cabin noise, and more ergonomic layouts. In comparison, the the TK felt basic and physically demanding over long distances. Safety standards were also rising. Braking systems, visibility improvements, and structural protections were becoming more advanced in modern trucks. The TK's older architecture limited how far it could be upgraded without a complete redesign. At a corporate level, Bedford, under General Motors, was undergoing strategic change. Investment shifted toward global platforms and newer international partnerships. The TK was no longer a priority for development. What made the situation final was timing. The TK was not failing suddenly, it was simply becoming less relevant in a rapidly advancing industry. In the end, it was not rejected because it was bad. It was left behind because the world it was designed for had already moved on. By the mid-1980s, the end of the Bedford TK was no longer uncertain, it was inevitable. Sales had steadily declined, fleets were being replaced, and the industry had fully shifted toward newer, more efficient European and Japanese trucks. Bedford attempted to modernize its range with the introduction of the Bedford TL, a successor designed to carry the brand forward. It featured updated styling and a tilt cab design, but underneath, it still carried much of the old TK philosophy. In a market that had already moved on, it struggled to compete. At the same time, General Motors was restructuring its global commercial vehicle strategy. Instead of investing heavily in aging British truck platforms, attention shifted toward international partnerships and standardized global models. Bedford's heavy truck division was no longer central to the company's future plans. Production at the Dunstable factory began to wind down. Once a symbol of industrial strength and constant output, the plant grew quieter as orders declined. Workers left, shifts reduced, and the pace of production slowed. By 1986, the decision was made to end Bedford's heavy truck manufacturing entirely. It was not a dramatic collapse, but a controlled withdrawal from a changing industry. The Bedford TK era had come to an end, not with noise or failure, but with silence. Even after production ended, the Bedford TK did not disappear from the world. Instead, it began a second life far beyond Britain's roads. Thousands continued working across Africa, Asia, the Middle East, and parts of Eastern Europe, where its simplicity became its greatest strength. With no complex electronics, it could be repaired using basic tools, local knowledge, and readily available parts. In harsh climates and rough terrain, it often outlasted newer, more advanced trucks that required specialized servicing. Back in the UK, the story was different. As industries modernized, the TK slowly faded from everyday use. Most were scrapped or retired, with only a few preserved by enthusiasts and heritage groups. Today, restored examples appear at shows and museums, not as working machines, but as living reminders of a different era. The Bedford TK endures as a symbol of honest engineering, built to work, built to last, and never truly forgotten.